with K Jenkins. So you're into real estate. I've seen your social media on Facebook. You're doing a lot of real estate up in Utah. But before we even talk about that, kind of give us your origin story, because you're also into fashion, modeling, like I said, real estate, business. So kind of give us your origin story of how you got into that type of stuff.
Yeah, I would say I'm a pretty diverse woman. A lot of that stemmed from I just being a creative growing up. I really wanted to express myself unapologetically. I always had different ideas or, stood out from the crowd. And I was actually judged for it for quite a long time. And, I had bullies and wasn't sure how to find myself. So it was actually, a downfall of mine growing up for a really long time. And then I learned how to channel that diversity and all that energy that I had that was held against me in the past, and used it to fuel me to kind of create what I currently have now, so that I didn't have to limit myself on anything that I was passionate about. I could pursue everything that I wanted to and not feel like I was tied down to anything particular.
So is that kind of like your motto of living, your way of living, that you don't have to be doing one thing, you could do other things?
Yeah, absolutely. My motto is unapologetically self-express. So however you feel it's necessary to express yourself, don't apologize for it. Just fucking do it.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that when you're growing up, even right now, that you're seen or you feel different than everybody else? You have a different framework, a different way of thinking?
Yes, specifically here in Utah, I'm a shark in a fishbowl here. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm moving to Miami, so that I can be surrounded by more sharks. I'm definitely looked at like I'm crazy sometimes because I want to execute so many different things. Um, but when you're passionate about it, I mean, it kind of just feels itself.
Mm-hmm. So to provide a context to the audience, anyone listening, what is it that you do exactly besides real estate?
So I'm a real estate agent, obviously. I'm a full-time model. I'm a life coach. So I help young women better their lives, pursue what they're passionate about. I really love abstracting the best out of people. And then and I travel. So those four things, those are basically
Mm-hmm.
my lifestyle that contribute to everything.
So how do you allocate your time between all those things? Because people might have the excuse like, oh, I can only do one thing, I'm so busy. But in reality, if you set your priorities straight, or if you know how to allocate your time correctly, you can do whatever you want.
So I've always thought about that as everyone does what they want to do, right? It's natural human behavior to make time or prioritize things that are important to us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were genuinely important, or if a certain thing that we want to pursue was actually important to us, we're going to make time for it. So when I was making my vision board, I sat down and structured what the most important things to me were. And obviously real estate's like the primary, just because it's allowed me to have a life by design and have time and financial freedom. And outside of that, then I started pursuing modeling so that I could express myself, physically and creatively, not
Mm-hmm.
just as a businesswoman. And then that kind of tied into, okay, now that I've perfected both of my crafts with real estate and modeling, how can I share that with other people and be able to give back and help other women enhance their lives, whatever it is they're passionate about. So it all equally contributes. It's like it's a
Yeah.
going wheel. So I don't divide my time accordingly to each particular venture. I do have like Mondays and Tuesdays set up for real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like Saturdays if I'm doing an open house, right, or showing property to clients. And then if I travel once a month for modeling, and I create enough content so that I have that for the next following month. And then my coaching is actually all online. So everyone that buys my ebook, they can just get a digital download,
Mm-hmm.
and they have that like it's immediately accessible to them. So I don't actually have to take a bunch of time and energy coaching or helping people. I can just share my knowledge with them one time and help them with what they need.
I feel that. I feel that also, that people who are entrepreneurs or in the corporate world, they have social media, they have Instagram, whatever it is, and they can second guess their actions in terms of having a certain post online, because maybe they don't want
Yeah.
to see their coworkers look at a certain
Yeah.
photo and be judged, right? Of course, you
Mm-hmm.
don't care. You're unapologetic. How do you develop that framework though? Because even me, like, I'm guilty of this too. Like, I can get pretty shook or worried, like, okay, am I going to be judged or not? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and I think about that all the time. especially when diving into more of my provocative modeling. I had to have a very serious conversation with myself if it was worth it or not. Because for a very long time, even before I was modeling, I dressed a particular way that would make people uncomfortable in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Every brokerage I've ever worked at, every office, I've been talked to about the way that I dress or about my pictures online. People had filed complaints with my previous brokerage that I was, too sexy and I was too affiliated with the luxury brand. So I needed to tone it down, were the exact words. And for me, I just kind of laughed because I was like, I'm just getting started. So I don't really understand how you expect me to tone it down when I plan on, firing it up even more. And so dealing with that, it's really a conversation about what's worth it to you. Because believe me, just this year, did I find this sense of peace of being able to do what I want to do without having anyone tell me whether it's right or wrong, because I was constantly torn between making sure that I could present myself professionally, but also still be able to express myself unapologetically. I was like being literally torn in half. And so when I decided, is it worth sticking yourself inside a box and pretending to be somebody you're not so that you can make money? Or would you rather go be who you are in all aspects and make money that way? Because you can make money either way. It's just a perspective, right? But here in Utah, especially, people have told me, okay, you have to wear a turtleneck. You have to cover your cleavage. You can't wear a short skirt. You shouldn't wear red bottoms. You should wear sneakers. For me, like, it's really hard for me to grasp, like, having to make that sacrifice. You have to give up to go up. I understand that. And believe me, I've given up a lot to get where I am today. But selling my soul and who I am as an individual and how I express myself and who I am as a person wasn't worth it. So that's that conversation where you look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm worthy regardless. And think about it. Anyone that's ever made a monumental mark on this world did it differently. They did it in a way that was actually never encouraged. It was discredited on multiple occasions before people started to see that, okay, that creativity is special. Everyone that's ever done anything incredible was doubted in the beginning. And it's because they weren't following the status quo. They were challenging the status quo. And that's what I do every single day. And I think that's why I'll get extraordinary results.
I think, to be honest, like, you can't really judge someone by how they look. It's really about their knowledge that they have. You can have someone, maybe they look a certain way that you're not used to, but that person can have so much knowledge, so much experience that you kind of just change your perspective on that one person and you respect that person, right? You should respect anyone for who they want to be. And it's just unfortunate that in a corporate world or wherever, you're going to be judged. And I think, your move going from Utah to Miami, I think Miami is more open, right?
The culture is definitely a lot more accepting and encouraging, for that matter, on dressing how you want and doing business in like a non-traditional way.
Yeah. And like you said, if you kind of have your own personal brand, your own flavor, then you can get a lot of business, indirect business from that, because you're expressing yourself. People are going to reach out to you. You're creating your own personal brand. And I think after a while, if you're not yourself, you're going to lose your identity over a period of time. So
and then you're not happy. I mean, is it worth that sacrifice? Whether you're going to be genuinely happy or not? I think the people that end up hating themselves the most are the ones that weren't willing to take that jump and just be who they are because they were afraid of what other people thought about them.
So were you able to do your work proficiently with the circumstances that you've been going through?
In regards to
like
with being judged.
Yeah.
I actually used a lot of that negative energy as motivation to basically prove them wrong. I really loved, and it's funny that we're having this conversation today because I actually just went and had lunch with some of my old mentors, and I haven't seen them in about 4 years. And I walked in and they were like, holy shit, like, you're a whole ass woman now, like, wow, you've closed 50 deals in the last 3 years and not one of those leads were handed to you. And you didn't do it on a team. You didn't wear a turtleneck. and you still sold a house. And it's funny because these are some of the people that were telling me that I had to change in order to see success.
Mm-hmm.
And so did it deter me from my work? Absolutely not. Were there times where I definitely had to contemplate whether I was doing things right or not? Absolutely. And it gets really hard on you and you start to question your methods, and if maybe you really are just crazy and if you should just go put a turtleneck on, and sell your soul and sell $1 million properties. But again, it wasn't worth it to me. And I stuck by being able to be me. And now I'm in a position where I don't ever have to accommodate for anybody. And it's extremely rewarding.
Now, I don't really know how the real estate industry works, but I do believe that you need to have a lot of personality to close the deal down, right? Of course, you can use tools and whatnot to find leads, but at the end of the day, you're going to be face to face with someone either through a Zoom call or physically. So you kind of have to show yourself out there and present yourself and close the deal. Now, what strategies have you implemented or what things have you learned along your journey in real estate to really become a better real estate agent and close deals? Like, what's your secret sauce?
My secret sauce is that I make it very personal with my clients. Keep in mind, 100% of the people that reach out to me to work with them already know who I am, right? Because 100% of my database comes from social media. So they're approaching me because they know how I operate. They like my energy. And they're going to trust me to represent them because they know I'm a shark. So my secret sauce is really just, again, being who I am and allowing business to flow to me, because desperation for business or commissions or whatever that is, which don't get me wrong, I was like that my first 2 years in the business. People can smell that and it's a repellent, but for me, I really kind of just go with the flow. I don't work with people who don't want to work with me. I don't cold call. I don't beg people for business. If they want to go work with another agent, I want them to be able to work with who's going to make them feel good and confident about their transaction. But when I meet with a new client, I'm very transparent. I lay it on them exactly how it is. I don't lie to them. I don't fluff things up. I certainly don't tell them what they want to hear. But I do tell them that I'll work my fucking ass off for them, and no one's going to be more dedicated or committed to ensuring that they have a positive experience throughout this transaction than I will. So again, my sauce is just being real and raw, and then building a personal connection with these people, because again, they already kind of know who I am outside of real estate.
Yeah.
And so I get, personal with them. They know about my brother, they know about my life. And so I connect with them when we're showing property. I always keep in mind what their personal goals are in buying a property. So I can touch base back on that. Okay. Oh, look at this yard for your dogs. Or isn't this cute little mother-in-law down here great for your mom for when she moves in? I'm just keeping that in mind, and they feel special. Everyone wants to feel special. People aren't buying your product, they're buying you. So if you can present yourself properly, you could literally show them the complete opposite of what they wanted. But if you are what they're connecting with, they're going to buy it because they're buying you, not your product.
So as a real estate agent, you can use the CRMs, you could cold call, and that's kind of the generic basic way of doing business, right? But do you think nowadays there's a shift, or I guess a good strategy of building a personal brand? And of course, the first couple of years, you could use those systems, right? But after you build your personal brand, people can come to you instead of you having to cold call people or cold email them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% of my lead flow and business comes from either referrals from previous clients or friends and family, because they're speaking my name out there, and I have people that support my business around me. And then again, just through social media, letting people know what I do. I'm not asking them for their business. I'm just telling them what I do for business. And they reach out because when they think K Jenkins, they think real estate. I did my cold calls. I sat open houses when I was on a team, first starting out, and it just never really resonated with me. I read a book about 4 years ago called The 7 Levels of Communication. And it's brilliant information about the levels in which you have impact on communicating with people. And personal contact or personal referral, word of mouth marketing is the most powerful form of marketing created. So you can cold call all day. You can go knock on strangers' doors all day. You can pay for real estate leads online through Zillow or any other freaking ad system for that matter. But if you're not making it personable and you're not connecting with those people and allowing it to flow to you naturally, you will always hit a brick wall, in my opinion.
So if you're first starting out, is it essential to really start with your own personal network, friends and family, and then from there, as you get those deals down, word of mouth starts to really amplify?
Yeah, absolutely. So they actually call it your SOI, which is your sphere of influence. Everybody you know that supports you in your business. People, I mean, at the gym, your hairdresser, your nail dresser, your friends, your family, your uncle, your ex-boyfriend for that matter. I don't care who you have to call to let them know that you're now in real estate, but you're pursuing something that you're passionate about, and just letting everyone in your database know what you do. And then what you figure out, go through your phone book and you put everyone onto a spreadsheet with their name, number, email address, and address. You have those 4 pieces of information. You can market to them for the rest of their lives, whether that be with homemade cookies on Christmas or homemade jam during the summer, or you're just dropping by to give them a gift card or say hello or anything like that. You're always going to have that information. And you can market with them, and then they're going to send referrals to you, because when they think of you, they think of that business, right? Like I guarantee you, when people think of you, they probably think, oh, podcast host. Like that's what he does.
Yeah.
He's passionate about that. So if I want to get on a podcast, I'm going to reach out to my dude here, and he's going to get me on this podcast, because that's who I know. That's my network of people.
For sure.
Right.
So I don't know if you have family in Miami, but once you move there, how are you going to use your sphere of influence? Are you going to just leverage totally your social media?
Absolutely not. I know quite a few people in Miami. And again, I'm a social butterfly. So within 2 weeks, I'll already have a database of 50 people that I've met. Because I'm going to start a new gym. I'm going to get a new nail lady. I'm going to get a new hair lady. I'm going to go to the grocery store, right? I'm going to have all these new areas in which I'm putting myself in positions and opportunities where I can meet new people. And when they ask me what I do, oh, I sell real estate. Oh, holy crap. Me and my husband are looking to buy a house next week or next month or next year. Okay, great. Let me grab your information. We'll keep in contact. And when you need me, I'm here for you. You know what I mean? So you start those conversations. I'm not worried about not knowing many people in Miami, because the very few people that I do know have a very large network of people that will fully support me, photographers, models. And that's a cool thing. Now I can start utilizing my real estate tools to help people in my modeling industry, right? Because all these girls are making millions of dollars on their exclusive sites, OnlyFans, Playboy, Maxim. All these photographers are making so much money because they're filming for these girls, right? So it's all creative. And I relate to that on so many levels. Who do you think they want to buy a house from? Someone that they relate with, who they can trust, who they've worked with already, or some old stuffy dude that's wearing a suit pretending to be somebody he's not.
Exactly. Yeah. So are you always in like business mode, even if you're going to a grocery store or walking down the street? I don't know. You always have that mentality. Okay, once I meet this new person, does he or she want or going to buy real estate at some point in the near future? If not, you get their number and follow up some point down the line.
Yes. So I definitely keep that mindset at all times, but I try to do so in a non-selfish way. I'm not like, oh, this smells like money. It's more like, okay, wow, I just met someone that I connected with, and I want to keep in contact with them, because then I can bring value to their life one day. Because I know that if I represent them in their real estate transaction, they're going to have someone ethical that's going to work hard for them, and that's going to be their agent for life, right? So I know that what I'm providing is valuable enough not to be selfish, because I know that I would never do them wrong. Right. And also with anything, I mean, shit, they could just need like a contractor or an electrician. And I have a database full of people that can help them with that one day. And also what they do. I always ask what they do. That's a huge conversation starter. If you want someone to know what you do, ask them what they do and get to know what they're doing. You know, this girl might be an accountant, and I need a new tax person, and the universe just put that person in my path to help me with my taxes. And then guess what? A year from now, they're going to help me with my business and buy a house from me. So it all just kind of like works together. And again, I learned that with the 7 levels of communication. It's all just communicating with people and learning and remembering things. If you have to take notes about particular people, if I just met someone at the grocery store and she has a son named Mikey that turned 19 last week, and that's something that I can remember about her, I'm going to go put it in my phone next to her contact so that when I talk to her next time, I can ask her how Mikey's doing.
So that's how you keep in touch with people. Like say, you know, 100 people, right? And you have a spreadsheet, all those people. It's not like you're going to hope that they remember that you do real estate. You have to send them a message every so often so you can kind of follow up, keep them in the loop. And then once they think about real estate, since you sent a message for the last 3 months, they're going to remember you because they're fresh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll do monthly newsletters and then also quarterly touches.
Okay.
And those quarterly touches are like homemade goods that I'll make. I'll do homemade jam. I do homemade fudge. I mean, I'll make like candy apples or like homemade root beer, things like that. I just like to put, again, a personal touch on it, and I'll go out and deliver it and knock on their door. And if they're home, and these are like past clients that have bought from me in the past, to maintain that. But even before then, once they're in my database, they're getting a newsletter from me once a month. And then what I do is those quarterly touches for people that have previously bought from me and they're getting those homemade goods. I'm making phone calls to people that have not yet bought from me, but they're in my database, and I'm just asking them how they're doing, what plans they have for the summer, if they're traveling, if they're going to rent out one of their properties, you know, how long they've owned their home. If it's been over 2 years, they have equity that they don't have to pay capital gains on. There's so many conversation starters again. And that's why I have those notes. When I call, I'm like, oh, hey, how's your grandma doing? You know, or how is this manifesting for you? Did you end up getting licensed in insurance? I have people that need an insurance agent. Do you still do that? And like, you're just building your network through that way. So I'm constantly keeping in contact with people.
Here's some time and time again that having a newsletter, at least in e-commerce, is important. But now we're talking about real estate. How important is that, having a newsletter in real estate?
I think it's not even necessarily about the information that you're providing. It could really be the like simplest of information, like, hey, there's a fair in town tomorrow or whatever. Again, it's really just about keeping that contact with people and letting them know that you're there, that you're active, that you're working, that you're being productive, that you're staying true and loyal to your grind. I think that's respectable and amendable. And people, again, no matter if it's 10 years from now and someone hasn't qualified to buy a house for 10 years, but they'll call me and be like, wow, I finally can do this. And I was waiting to work with you because you mentioned to me that you're a real estate agent. I've been getting your newsletter for the last 10 years, you know, but it's all future business too. And it's just
for sure.
Keeping in contact.
So what do you do if you're an introvert? Because you said you're a social butterfly, but what do you do if, you know, you're into real estate or you want to get into real estate, but you're just, you know, a shy guy?
Don't do it.
Don't do it? You have to be extroverted?
I would say if you want to be successful, do you want to do something half-assed? I mean, do you really want to go in there and be extroverted and be introverted and not be able to communicate with people and be uncomfortable in something you're not going to like? You might think that you like real estate, but I'm telling you, you won't like real estate if you don't like communicating with people. Now, there's other parts to real estate, right? When I first started my first brokerage, they had me take a personality test to see, before they accepted me, to see kind of like where my areas of strengths were and then where my areas of weaknesses are. It's called the DISC test. It's actually from Tony Robbins. He created it on people to use as a guideline when they're hiring people, right? So that they hire the right people. I'm a very high I and a very high D, which means I'm very sociable. And then I'm also very direct. So if I need to like cut somebody off and move forward or get something done, there's no way it's not going to happen. Right. Then there's these other people that are introverts, and they're the S's and the C's, DISC, DISC. And those are the people that belong behind the computer. And I don't say that in a bad way. They are just as important, because I don't handle my own fucking paperwork. I don't handle the back end of things. I'm not good with technology. I could barely figure out how to work this damn Zoom call, you know, but everyone has their area of expertise in which they should focus on. And whether that's being behind the camera or, you know, digital graphing or whatever it is that you can do without having to talk to people, specialize in that. Be the best fucking introvert you can possibly be. Just do it big, you know, don't try to be something you're not. That comes back to, you know, our initial conversation and saying you need to express yourself unapologetically. If you're an introvert, be a fucking introvert. Don't pretend to like people so that you can get into real estate because it fascinates you and you saw some fucking fix and flip show on TV and now you think you can sell real estate, because it's what you're passionate about. Unless you're 100% committed to changing and becoming different, I wouldn't recommend it, because I just wouldn't want that person to end up unhappy. And then they just spent 120 hours on school and $2,500 on dues and joining a board and trying to figure it out. And now they're without a job, because technically, unless you have a house in escrow, you're unemployed. You don't get paid hourly. It's strictly commission. You have to have a property in escrow to be employed. And when you're first starting out, especially if you're not going to go out and talk to people, you're literally like shooting yourself in the foot and then trying to run a mile. And I just wouldn't recommend that to people.
So communication is the name of the game. You need to know people. I always thought, to be honest with you, that any industry, that if you're an introvert, extrovert, there's always a way. But I do believe that if you're an extrovert, you do have the upper hand, right? And
of course,
is real estate, is it very, very competitive where you are against everyone else, or do you guys kind of collaborate with each other?
I think anything's really a competition when it's sales, A, and then B, also commissions, right? So sales and commissions are always going to have competition. I don't really compete with other agents though. Like I said, my business flows to me. People reach out to me and ask me to work with them. So I'm never, and that's the thing, I think, where my flow has come from. A lot of new agents think that they need to get on the phone and be this competitive agent where they're literally trying to outbeat 4 other listing agents on a property. And they're going in there and they're working with strangers, people that don't know them, that don't trust them, that have, no idea how they operate. And they have the lower hand there because they're putting themselves in a position where they have to compete because they're not working with people that already trust them and already know them. So it can be competitive. But if someone tells me they already have an agent, I'm like, oh, great. Good luck. Have a great day. If you want a second opinion, let me know. Because I have people come to me all the time and say, well, I keep getting beat out on all these offers. My agent's writing these offers and there's 12 other buyers. How come you're getting your clients under contract in the first week? Is my agent lying to me? Well, no, he's just not being a shark. He's probably an introvert and he's going at this, like he's tiptoeing around the numbers and he's trying to make you feel comfortable. I don't give a shit about making people feel comfortable. If a house is listed for $350 and there's an offer for $360, I'm going to tell my clients to go in at $370. If you want to win this, that's what's going to happen. And again, that comes back to being very transparent. I don't tell them what they want to hear. I tell them what they need to hear. And so that's where I eliminate my competition immediately so that I don't ever even see what else is out there. I'm just focusing on me and my business.
So you think you have to be very direct, just take out the fluff, don't waste any time. Even if your client may not like that, it's strictly business, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've earned my respect that way. Keep in mind, this is just my method to my madness. Am I saying that absolutely, is there no other way that this could be done? But no, not at all. That's not what way worked for me. So I think every agent I've ever talked with or collaborated with, they've told me that they've had to find their own way of doing things. I have a friend, every house he's ever sold has been from a cold call. He doesn't talk to his own people because he doesn't want to bug his friends and family and try and beg them for business. He'd rather just work with strangers so that he doesn't have to deal with conflict of interest at home. And he sells 40 houses a year. Sells a bunch of real estate. He just does it completely different than I do. And I respect that. You know what I mean? I would just never encourage that as the highest probable outcome. You've got to find what works for you. And everyone does it in their own personal way.
But in the beginning, if you're first starting out, do you think you have to kiss some ass, do the hard work, know the CRMs, know those tools before you really establish your personal brand, especially online, and have people come to you?
Absolutely. You definitely have to pay your dues, and you definitely have to do things that you don't want to do in the beginning, like sit the open houses and work under agents that have been producing for, 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
You make the cold calls, you go door knocking, you're trying everything really, like
Yeah.
one time, just to see, okay, what works for me. This is what everyone's saying. This is how you can get business. So this is what I'm going to go and try and do. And then you figure out what works for you. So, and I just said this today, cause I had an assistant quit on me, recently. And this is directly around women particularly, but it could be used in any sense. But you can't be a boss bitch unless you've been a boss's bitch. I was an assistant. I got coffee. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I picked up wedding dresses and did the most random shit personally and executively, and on the admin side of things, because you pay your dues, you learn, you absorb as much knowledge as you possibly can. You learn how to respect people in the industry so that you can communicate accordingly. So now when I work with an agent that's 20 years older than me, I don't feel intimidated. I could work with any agent and not feel intimidated by any means, because of all that knowledge that I was able to absorb. And because I kissed ass for 2.5 years, I learned that level of confidence on how to present things where I'm on an equal playing field now.
So you can't be too like egotistic in the beginning, thinking that you know everything. If you go on YouTube or Google, you have to learn either through someone else's experiences, working under them, and then from there you can have, you can put yourself on a pedestal because you acquired that knowledge, and you can feel a lot more
Exactly.
relaxed.
You've earned your keep at
Yeah,
that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you had some mentors. How many mentors? You said four or just one?
Over the years, I've had 6 really good mentors.
And how did you find your mentors?
A lot of them were through real estate. They were people that I connected with, or like I admired in my brokerage, in my real estate offices at the
Mm-hmm.
brokerage. I was researching. I wanted to know who the top producers were. I wanted to know who I could learn from, who was going to teach me the most, and where I was going to have the most opportunity. And so that's how I sought out all my mentors. I was
Wait,
like, yo, I want to learn from you. What can you teach me?
wait, so did you regard them as mentors, or you like directly asked them like, hey, like, can you be my mentor?
Um, I wouldn't say that it was ever like directly, hey, be my mentor,
Okay.
because I don't want to put that pressure or like expectation on things,
Yeah.
right? It was more so that I had just idolized these people, wanted to learn from them. So I did learn from them, and they became my mentor naturally because they were at that point invested in seeing me succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And so any problem I had, they said, you can always come to me. My door's open. If you need help with a transaction or anything like that, marketing, or you're running numbers, market data, all of that, their door was always open to me. And so when someone's invested in your success, they're your mentor. Whether you
Okay.
ask them to be or not, if they're invested in seeing you succeed, they're your mentor. And I've had some really incredible mentors.
But what were the key things that you learned from your mentors? Because like you said, or I'm thinking about this, that there's a new way of thinking, especially for millennials, Gen Z, where they use or leverage social media to get business, right? And maybe the people that you've been working with, your mentors, don't know a lick about social media, and they know about the traditional ways of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
but they probably have a lot of intuition, a lot of wisdom that kind of has to do
Mm-hmm.
with just relationship building. And that's the key factor to making your name of yourself at real estate here, right? So what are some key
Yeah.
aspects that you learned from your mentors?
So I'd say the first thing that my mentors taught me was, you don't know what you don't know. So you're always learning. Even
Mm-hmm.
people that have been in this business for 20 plus years still learn something new every day, because no day is the same in real estate. The only thing that's constant is change,
Yeah.
evolution. You have to adapt accordingly to marketing tactics, to social medias. I really don't want to get on TikTok, but apparently I have to, because it's the new way of doing things, and so I'm constantly reminding myself those key points of, you don't know what you don't know. So try it before you
Mm-hmm.
knock it, at least give it an opportunity. And then what was the other one I just said?
That changes
Yeah, the only thing in life, and they say real estate, but in life too, is constant is change.
Yeah.
And I know that so much, because as soon as you think you've got it all figured out and things are flowing, and I was with an incredible company. I was with for 3 years. I got real estate awards with them. I was so invested. And then guess what? I had to leave them this year because they were uncomfortable with my provocative modeling, and I couldn't have that association with a luxury brokerage, which I made that decision, not them. I went to them and respectfully walked away because I didn't want to have, I had that respect for, I didn't want to have that association with their name. And so again, you have to keep in mind that things are always evolving. You have to adapt. There's really no time to sit around and cry about shit. When life knocks you down, you got to get back up and tell her she hits like a bitch and keep going. And you have to stay committed to your dream no matter what, because again, people will tell you that you're going to fail. And I was told that I was going to fail on numerous occasions because of the way that I looked and because of where I came from. And I never allowed that to deter me. So you also need to find your tribe of people that believe in you, because there will be 1,000 people for every one person that believes in you. There's 1,000 people that are going to tell you that you're going to fail. And so you need to find that quality of people. You're a product of who you choose to surround yourself with. That's another thing that my mentors taught me. If you look at the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most and what their average income is, that's probably your average income too. So I started hanging out with millionaires because I being mentored by millionaires because I want to be a millionaire. So those are some of the key things that they've taught me, and I'm still learning and having to remind myself of every single day. I do that and I get back to my quote unquote basics, and it keeps me on track.
So besides, hanging out with millionaires, learning and whatnot, do you read a lot, listen to podcasts to really expand your knowledge?
Yeah. So I used to love reading. Like I used to read like 2 books a month. And now that I have like literally no time to sit down, I've actually really enjoyed Audible. So I love podcasts. I love Audible books. I'll get recommendations from, my social media every 6 months or so. And now I'm getting through a book like a week because it's like 7 hours. You listen to it 1 hour a day, you get it done in a week. And I'm always abstracting that knowledge too. And it's so funny, you'll realize that the things you're hearing or reading about are relevant to what's going on in your life. If you believe that the universe is working in your favor, right? I'm reading a book about money right now and leveling up that I've made so much money, but now I feel like I've hit this like threshold that I need to like break through. And so I'm reading a book more about how to get more creative with my income. Because there's levels to everything. So I love learning. I love constantly staying open-minded to new concepts, to new ways of life. I mean, I love learning about different types of religion, politics, anything that can help me expand my mind. I'll try anything once. I don't put any sort of sticker or label on any sort of belief system or theory for that matter until I've, really absorbed it and been able to make my own personal opinion about it.
I feel that. So you're saying that you hit a plateau in terms of making money. You need to get to that next level, be creative. Now, what's your total ambition here? Do you want to really scale up or really be the boss bitch of real estate? Or do you want to really just go full time into modeling?
I'll do both.
Both?
Very much so. I will do both easily. And that's, again, people will discredit or try and say that I can't do both and that I only have to have one focus. But again, the more that I model and the more magazine covers I get, all those people that want to connect with me because of that publicity that I received, I want to sell them a house. I want to be their real estate agent for life. You know what I mean? That's not, and again, that comes with most, and this is why I try to set myself apart from other individuals, or at least women in the industry, being a model. They think that their pretty face is going to get them by for the rest of their lives. I want to take my pretty face to draw in business, and then I will retain them with my mind and the value that I can bring to them. So I will always be an active real estate agent. Am I going to dive in face first and dedicate my whole life to it so that I'm selling 20 properties a month? Absolutely not. But I will continue flowing in my flow, which is modeling, traveling, selling, and it'll all just kind of intertwine. And that's when I moved to Miami and I'm working with bigger models and bigger companies, and they're all going to wonder, or when they ask what else I'm doing, it's always going to come back to real estate because those two intertwine with each other. And again, those people are going to want to work with me because we're related, right? On that level.
Yeah.
Like we've worked together, they trust me. And eventually, I mean, I'm not going to be a model the rest of my life. I'm 25 and hot now, but 10 years from now, I want to have sustainable income and ability to continue providing the life for myself and my family that I want.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are you familiar with Neil deGrasse Tyson?
I'm not, no.
No, because he's just I'm pretty sure you've seen him or you came across his content, but he's like an older dude that loves, astrophysics, right? And he's a really chill guy from New York. And you might think, oh, these famous physicists, they're pretty boring, they're not hip, right? But this guy is, and because of that, through his content, he's reaching out to like younger kids and teaching them about science. And that kind of reminded me of you because, like you said, you're going into modeling. The people who are working in that industry need to buy homes. And since you have, extra expertise in that, you have a direct link to those people and they can have access to you to buy a home and whatnot. So pretty much here is that he's different because he's hip, whereas other astrophysicists can be stuck behind a computer or behind a desk, just minding their own business, not having a personal brand. And you, on the other hand, in terms of real estate, you're a model, it's a business, you're very out there, and that adds an element to have people come to you and make things work.
Yeah. And not just with real estate, those women are also, buying my eBooks so that they can learn how to maximize their business. They're like, oh shit, I made $1 million last year and I have nothing to show for it. Okay, great. Well, buy my K by Design digital download. I'll teach you how to invest your money accordingly. I'll teach you how to wake up with ideas on how to maximize your income and your opportunities. I mean, it's everything because they'll see my demeanor and how I'm working on real estate. And they're like, oh, I've always wanted to do real estate. And I'm like, that's cute. Why don't you figure out what you really want to do and we'll help you pursue that. You know what I mean? Take your money that you're making on exclusive content, start your own clothing company, start your own makeup brand, start something that you're passionate about, because I really find it hard to believe that we're all passionate about bending over on the ground. There's got to be more to that. There's got to be more substance behind it. Right. And so that's why I'll always do my best to just kind of maintain all three areas so that it's real estate, coaching, and modeling, and they all just intertwine with each other.
So of course you already said many times that you're into modeling. Now, of course, I've heard about OnlyFans as being very, very popular from time and time again. And now you have your own sort of domain, ExclusiveK. So is that like another aspect of your modeling side as well?
Yes. So ExclusiveK.com is provocative photos of me that you can't see on the gram. I decided to go outside of OnlyFans because, again, I'm constantly challenging the status quo, and I didn't necessarily want to have that association, because keep in mind, OnlyFans started as a monetizing platform for multiple different businesses to sell their product. It wasn't always what it is now. And so there's this mainstream idea and association that if you have an OnlyFans, you're doing porn.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, let's just say it. Like, that's probably, I mean, I thought that. I was like, everyone was like, do you have an OnlyFans? And I'm like, hell no, I don't do porn. You know what I mean? It took me probably a good year to like really wrap my head around the opportunity of monetizing. And not until I went to the Paradise Challenge in Jamaica with Black Tape Project did I meet so many different women that were monetizing their content and making so much money. And I'm like, they look at me and they're like, Kate, you're posting this shit on the gram for free. Half of it, you know what I mean? At least, like, what are you doing? You're a businesswoman. You talk about making money and you wanting to maximize things, yet you're limiting yourself because what? Your pride? Because what you think, or your ignorance on thinking that you have to go like have sex on camera in order to be able to produce in that industry. So I really did a lot of research on different ways of marketing and different sites that girls had that they were using. And I got in contact with a developer who actually does sites for multiple models. And he does it in a very classy way. You get your own domain, you get to choose your prices, you get to literally customize everything exactly how you want it. And you have protection so that like the system that Snapchat uses to let you know when someone screenshots.
Yeah.
I have that on my website as well. So I'll know if anyone's taking my content or stealing it. I'm just always protected. And I wanted to make sure that if I was going to do something like this, I was going to do it my way.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go mainstream. And so that's kind of how that all started. And since then, it's been going for about 3 months. I've made an extra $25,000, which I've been able to put into my family. I take care of my brother who lives in a care facility, and then also my mom who has a mental illness. And they're my whole heart, you know, and they're all I have. And I'm the only one that's capable of even making means necessary to take care of them. But I don't want them to just have mediocrity. I want them to have nice things too. I want them to have a nice life too. And sometimes that's a sacrifice that has to be made. So if I can make, you know, $5 million in the next 5 years selling exclusive content while I'm young and hot, and then put that money also into real estate, right? And into investing into my own properties, right? And then making my website for my coaching even more. And then guess what? That's another way for me to share knowledge. I can put a lookbook together. Yeah, I can put put content together on for women that want to learn how to do this my way. That's information that I can sell. Everything about my life I can sell essentially on my ebooks. So it's been a transitional journey, you know, and so finding that balance and making sure like what I'm posting is still, I don't ever want to just be that girl that's like just naked on the ground. I really don't. I don't want to just be that girl. So every day you're not going to see me, you know, promoting my exclusive site, because that's not what defines me. That's not the only venture that I have. So you're going to see real estate and modeling and coaching and exclusive site and family and traveling. You're going to see all the diversity that I have in my life, because that's what all defines me. It's all a contribution.
That's what makes you. Yeah. I was going to say that's what makes you, you. And it's also important that you own the domain of not relying on being on someone else's domain. You have yourself. You totally dependent on that.
Self-sufficient, you know. I actually did a little bit of research as well. You know, OnlyFans is being investigated by the IRS right now because the owner hasn't paid their taxes in 3 years. Jeez. And so all of those people that are making these money could just be shut down, and their entire platform is just a way, you know. And the way I see it is, again, things are always evolving and changing. You know, we had MySpace 10 years ago. You know, and now we've got Facebook, and then Facebook got boring, and now we've got Instagram. So things are always, there's always going to be the next best thing, right? And I kind of wanted mine to just be my thing. It's not like a mainstream thing that could be controlled, taken away, or faded out for that matter by saturation from the world.
And you mentioned that you have a couple of ebooks. Where can people find that? And when's your next one if you're going to write one, another one?
So I actually I've revised all of them because of everything I learned this year, but kbydesign.co. So it's KAY by design.co. There's a launch page there right now. If you submit your email there now, you'll receive a notification when all the other books have been released and updated. Right now, people that reach out to me personally, if they want the digital download, I send it to them. But so you can reach out to me on Instagram. But digitally online, the relaunch of everything will be available by January 18th. The launch date. Going down to Miami to create some incredible content for that for K by Design. It's a different type of modeling for me. I'm going to be showing the evolutions and stages of my life, from, you know, my mug shots to my headshots. I'm going to be very transparent about my life, where I grew up in a trailer park to now owning multiple properties. You know, I'm going to be showcasing a lot of that. And that's where I wanted to revise everything so that I could really do it in the best possible way so that people understand why I can help them, because I never lie about where I come from. And again, I mean, you learn things new every single day, and 2020 taught, I think, all of us a lot. And so being able to add more value is really what I was trying to accomplish.
I think it's so hard to really, expose yourself because everyone has insecurities. Let's be real here. Everyone has insecurities and not everyone's going to share it. But do you think that if you really share your insecurities, then there's nothing that people can put against you, right? But if you have insecurities and people find out about it, then you can be kind of shook. But if you put it out on the online, you expose yourself, then you're okay in that sense. If that makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, with cruel intentions will try and utilize people's mistakes as ammo to try and bring them down, when I use it as ammo to fuel me.
Mm-hmm.
I remind myself, I look at my mugshots every day and I remind myself who I was. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
you could go look this up on Google, put it all over the internet. I don't care. I already put it out there. So you have really, you can't surprise me. You can't take any of my value away or make me second guess myself or have people second guessing me because I wasn't honest about who I am or where I come from. Right. But because I show this, I appeal to more people.
Mm-hmm.
I appeal to the masses because everyone has shit, whether they're willing to admit it or not. Everyone's had a drunken night or some run-in with the cops or something that they're embarrassed about. Am I proud of these? Fuck no. No. But am I proud of who I am now? Yes, which is exactly why. And I think that people that still try to refrain from being honest about their come up aren't necessarily completely proud about who they are currently. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so proud and confident in who I am that I don't have to be embarrassed about anything that I did previously because it doesn't take away from who I am now.
Yeah, you own yourself totally. And I think that's got to respect that because that's so hard to do. And just owning yourself, being happy about who you are, it sounds cheesy, but if you're just happy being in your own body, of the circumstances that you've been through, not being insecure, like I said, everyone has insecurities, but if you own that, then I think you're going to live a happier life, as cheesy as that sounds,
No, it's a simple formula. And I think a lot of people discredit it because it seems so cliche.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so simple. It seems cliche, but what you just said, it's, if you get back to that basic, when you're feeling, discouraged or anything, it'll get you through it all.
Mm-hmm. So, Kay, I don't want to take too much of your time. So if people want to find you on IG, hit you up, learn more about real estate, where can they find you?
My IG handle, I'm currently shadow banned, so you have to put in my entire handle. So it's K Jenkins, first last name, KayJenkins.co. The .co is kind of my thing. So you'll find that. So kjenkins.co is my Instagram. kbydesign.co is my coaching website. And then ExclusiveK.com if y'all want to see me naked.
Dope. So I'll put that all in the show notes if anyone wants to click on that for their specific reasons. Real estate, IG,
coaching, everything.
Yeah. I'll put it all in the show notes so they can click on that, all right, and hit you up from there. All right, Kay?
Awesome.
It was definitely a pleasure, all right?
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and energy. You keep killing it. And if there's anything I can do to help you with your podcast and helping you expand, I would love to do so.
Sure. Thank you, Kay.